When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel. Looking for good ideas for life? You are far from good hands. If you think the listener is always right, you are far from the right place. Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, a rebel by choice. If you want a host that floats between love and madness, then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
What up? Excuse me while I whip this out. Oh, gnarly! Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes. And good evening, friends.
Not all football helmets are created equal. Zenith, the industry leader in protective technology, is the only helmet in the game with adaptive head protection featuring a shock suspension system that can move independently from the helmet shell. Headquartered and developed in Detroit, Zenith is committed to player safety and revolutionary innovation. Zenith is proud to protect athletes at every level from Pee-wee to the pros. Learn more about the Zenith difference at zenith.com. That's XENITH.com.
Hi, this is Steve Largent from the Seattle Seahawks, and you're listening to Crazy Train Radio.
This hits you out cold. That touchdown was pure gold. Watch out for that beast mode. Them deep throws, straight masterpieces. Driving, jiving in the Emerald City. We got B-Wags and KJ. 5'3's Malcolm Smitty. We're too hot. Oh yeah. Got the 12s up. It's a party, man. We're too hot. Oh yeah. Make a QB wanna retire, man. We're too hot. Oh yeah. And we're coming for the Lombardi, man. We're too hot. Oh yeah. And the LOB's out front. Break it down. Pearl hit you, hallelujah. Woo. Cam hit you, hallelujah. Woo. Sherm hit you, hallelujah. Woo. Stocktown Funk gon' give it to you. Stocktown Funk gon' give it to you. Stocktown Funk gon' give it to you. Super Bowl, we in the spot. No, we're beating the Hawks.
Folks, as promised, there's a gentleman on the phone. He don't get mentioned often enough as far as being a great receiver. He made first downs, he caught touchdowns, but probably his best asset in playing professional football, and football in general, was just knowing the game. The Seahawks had retired his number in 1992, called it a Ring of Honor, but he was recognized and honored with being elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1995 during his first year in eligibility. And he's had a career that would more than exceed any childhood dreams, but on a more important scale, he has shown the type of quality in trying to be a good human being and showing true grace in mankind. One particular example, and I don't know the man personally, but I would assume it shows his true grace by actually remembering, and I believe the gentleman's name was Pete Gross, by giving him a game jersey when Pete was dealing with some health issues. He was a Seahawks broadcaster. But there's so many things. But the end of the story, it's end of the day for him. I think he'll be remembered not only for his football career, but just his positive mark on mankind. His name, Steve Largent. Steve, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
Oh, I can't complain. I want to start off, though, I just want to mention, because we also know you're going to be doing it this weekend. We're taping on the 10th, but you're actually going to be making an appearance in White Plains this weekend, signing autographs and pictures and all the fun stuff for some sports fans at a sports convention. How many of these type of things do you do, first and foremost?
I don't do too many. I probably do maybe 2 or 3 every year. I'll always do one up in Seattle, and then maybe in Chicago, or this one's in New York, sometimes in Texas. But I just do them, just 2 or 3 a year.
Now, what kind of fan reaction when people come to these type of events, or where you're at in Oklahoma, if somebody happens to run into you, or I should say in Seattle as well? Yes, you're from Oklahoma, but, because you spent your whole playing career in Seattle as well.
Yeah. Well, it kind of varies on the age of the people that that approach me. The younger they are, the less they know of my career. And it's just a matter of, introducing themselves and wanting an autograph or a picture or something like that. But people that are a little bit older and that remember my playing career, then there's more conversations about particular games or situations that I was in, and they want to know, kind of the behind the scenes, backstage, what was going on, what was I thinking, how did I do this or that, and the conversation's a little more in depth. But it's always, people have always been very gracious and very nice, and I've tried to return the same.
Yeah, and we talk to, here on the podcast, we talk to everybody from actors and actresses to wrestlers to other people in sports as well, and forms of entertainment. And are you one of those guys, and I'm just basing this off of other conversations as well, are you one of those guys that if and when fans might approach you, talk a little bit, do they remember things that you may not remember because you've done so much?
Oh, sure. Yeah. There's all the time. There's people that, hey, I met you at this place or that place. And, I can't remember all of those different things. One, because, I had a stroke and it impacted my memory. And then 2, I'm older now and my memory's going away anyway. But, it's always nice to remember or to discover that people do remember you. And your playing career, and they, always seem to have enjoyed it, and I certainly enjoyed playing for them.
Exactly. Well, I want to mention as well, when doing my homework prior to reaching out to see about talking to you, which thank you not only to yourself, but to the Hall of Fame who put us in touch with you and passing along your information and such. It was a great turnaround, and, I appreciate that for sure. But I want to mention as well, if people don't get a chance to see or haven't seen it yet, I'm guessing you're living under a rock, but you should check out the NFL Network special, A Football Life, they did on Steve, where they talked so much about plays and his post-career, politics career. There's just so much into the story, his family life. It's a pretty awesome story. But one of the things I did learn about you, and it wasn't on that special, was that you're a big fan of technology. And obviously there's been a lot of technology to help improve the game of football and also other aspects of life. What do you think the technology improving has helped with the game itself?
Well, I tell you, one of the big things is the way the game is covered by television. And the ability that the cameras have now of seeing almost every nook and cranny in the game can come under the coverage of the television station. So there's no getting away from anything, and that's a positive. But the negative of that is there's so much waiting around now, waiting to get that replay seen by the officials if necessary. And I think that actually is a detriment to the game. But there's certainly nothing that you can do and be hidden from the view of the public on the playing field now. and that is really amazing to me.
Well, how about in particular in terms of technology as far as assisting in players' health, such as concussion, whether it be technology in the new helmets or improvements in pads and just different things on that aspect?
Oh yeah, there's more and more things that are working in the to the advantage of the players and for the physicians that take care of the players off the field, in knowing the severity of an injury or where the injury took place and how they need to remedy that. And so that all that technology is working in the players' best interests. And I think, even at the college level and certainly at the professional level, they're taking advantage of that.
Well, I guess this would lead me to asking, you're in your early 60s, and you played a pretty wide open spot being a receiver yourself. How do you feel physically day to day? Because I know there's been times that most people will bring up the Mike Harding hit and all that stuff. But just with the physicality of being a receiver, how do you feel today?
Well, that's a good question because I get asked that a lot. And the answer is, I knock on wood, I'm actually in pretty good shape. I still run 3 or 4 days a week and lift weights 3 days a week. And, I play golf, I play tennis, and I can still do all that thing. All my knees are still in good shape, and elbows and shoulders and all the major joints are still functioning. And so I've been blessed for sure. Now, as soon as I say that, I know that, I'm 63 years old now, and everything's going to start falling apart on me. But at this point in time, I can still do almost everything that I want to do at this point in my life, and I think that's a real blessing to me.
Well, would you say that's key, though, mentioned there in your answer, by still trying to be active and working out, and you're not just somebody sitting on the couch at home doing your
No, I can't. Yeah, I could never do that. I'm just an active person, and I like to be outside. I like to be doing different things. And I've got 9 grandkids now, soon to be 10 grandkids, and I love playing with all of those guys out in the backyard and throwing the ball around and playing basketball and stuff like that with them, chase. And so I like the fact that I can still do those things with my kids and my grandkids.
Yeah, well, 4 kids and soon to be 10 grandkids, that sure as hell will keep you busy. And that's busy in a good way, which is awesome. And congratulations on the 10 points coming around.
Yeah, thank you.
Soon, so, well, obviously, you've been honored by Seattle and all, by the team and everything. And we were just talking about the player stuff and such. Do you think, guys, this will be the last question on that, do you think guys are more willing to say to the coaches or the trainers and the doctors or whoever to say, hey, I'm banged up compared to when you played?
Yeah, I do. I think players are just more aware of the physicality of the game and the treatment that is available to them than they ever have been before. But I would tell you still, I think the number one ingredient for getting players back out on the field is the players themselves. I know that when I played, and I don't think it's any different today than it was then, that they want to be out on the field. Just take me up and put me back out there, coach. It's
exactly.
It's
pride there.
Yeah, it's not a coach, it's not a trainer, it's not anybody else that's pushing them out on that field. It's the player themselves. They want to be out there on the field. They want to be contributing. They want to be helping your team win the game. And when you're not out on the field, you feel like you're not part of it. And so that's the one thing that has not changed is the player's desire to be out there on the field as opposed to being, on the sideline or in the booth, listening to the game being called and played.
Exactly. It's a fine line there between the pride and, hey, something might be seriously going on here. But
that's right.
As far as Seattle, we've mentioned 14 years, your whole career in Seattle, the whole thing. As far as that fan base, because obviously it's become a big deal in recent years and some of their success and whatnot, that the fans out there in Seattle are known as the 12th man. How would you describe Seattle fan base? More of a pro fan base, or would you say that's more like a college fan base atmosphere?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think that the fan base, it feels like a college-based fan, where the support is more collegial than it is, professional based. And by that I mean, our fans are very loyal and very vocal, but they're not a harassing fans to the other team. They're supporting fans for the home team, and very, like I said, very vocal about that. They've always been very gracious and hospitable, but they're very much Seahawk fans, and you know that from the first minute of the game to the last minute. And so that's one thing that's really played in the Seahawks' favor any home games in the last 10 years. You're going to have a real strong a group of fans that are coming to the game, and they're going to be rooting for you, and you can play that to your advantage, and the Seahawks have.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. But speaking of a collegiate fan base, you went to Tulsa for college. However, also down the road from you is Oklahoma University of Sooners.
Mm-hmm.
So when you decided to go to Tulsa, both great schools and everything like that, and good fan bases when you talk about college athletics and everything. But what went into making that decision when it was time for you to go to school?
Well, I didn't have a choice. The University of Oklahoma, fortunately for me, they were going to a wishbone offense, and they didn't throw the ball very much. And then they also signed Tinker Owens my senior year out of high school. It was the same as Tinker, and he became a receiver. And then they had another receiver they got from junior college, and he was a great receiver who played in the NFL for Cincinnati for a number of years. And the University of Tulsa was the only school really in Oklahoma that was still throwing the ball. And I knew as a receiver I didn't want to go anywhere and block. I wanted to go and run routes and catch passes. And so that and the fact that the university had a great reputation for getting a good education, my decision was made really before I even had the opportunity.
Well, let's fast forward a few years. You're drafted second pick, but in the fourth round by Houston. You're cut, but picked back up to trade to Seattle, and things went the way they went. But going to Seattle, I've heard, and maybe you can clarify this, that the offensive coordinator, Jerry Rome, who you knew in college as well, was pretty much your ace in the hole to help you stay with the team, get or acclimated to everything, and allow you to play the game to help support your family as your job.
No, there's no question about that. Jerry Rome was the reason why I ended up in Seattle when I was actually placed on waivers by the Houston Oilers. And Jerry was really the guy that was actively promoting me getting a chance. He actually was up in Seattle before the draft and was really barking at his guys in Seattle. Of course, everybody was new there. And saying, you got to draft this guy, you got to draft this guy. I coached him for 3 years in college, and they just never did do it. And so I went to Houston, and so when I came up on the waiver wire and Jerry was told about it, he just really hounded away at the head coach and the scouts and everybody like that to get me. And so they ended up trading an 8th round draft choice for me, a guy that didn't make the team and got cut and was drafted in the 4th round. And I went up to Seattle, and of course the advantage to me was that the whole team was new. This was the first year of the franchise, and all the players still had tape on their helmets with their names on it. And so I got to come in, and I played the last 2 preseason games. There were 6 preseason games and 14 regular season games at that time. So I got to play the last 2 preseason games in Seattle. And the other thing that was really helpful to me was the fact that Jerry had implemented our passing game and our nomenclature that we had for the passing game from the University of Tulsa into the Seattle Seahawks offense. So when he said to line up, split right 79, I knew exactly where to line up and how deep to run my routes and when to expect the ball, because I'd been doing it for 3 years in college. And so that was really, really helpful to me. That and the encouragement that I got from Jerry as he was the quarterback and receiver coach, not the offensive coordinator, but the quarterback and receiver coach when I came to Seattle. And he put his arm around me after the first practice. I dropped a couple balls. He said, "Hey, Steve, just do the same thing you did at the University of Tulsa and you'll be fine." And that really was the encouragement that I needed to make it through the rest of that training camp and into the regular season for my first year in the NFL.
Yeah, and having a great relationship, a guy like Jim Zorn, who had a great arm, and then going on to David Craig as well, I'm sure had to help with being positive as far as having a good, that whole receiver, quarterback, has to be a good, tight relationship, I think, to work well. And you had 2 great guys there to play with.
I had 2 guys that probably would never be listed under the quarterbacks who have the greatest attributes. But I played with 2 guys, Dave Craig and Jim Zorn, who both were that liked to work and liked to perfect their game. And that was the way I was. I wanted to, run perfect routes and catch every ball and be where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there. And they loved to work on their game as well, throwing the ball when they're supposed to throw it, where they're supposed to throw it. And it was just a great combination because it wasn't just me. They were willing to work with anybody that wanted to stay out on the field longer and practice routes and get the system down and get the routes down and get the timing down. And we did that. I did that when Jim Zorn was there, and I did that with Dave Craig as well. And we really formed a great relationship with each other, and that carried out onto the field.
Well, I want to fast forward real quick because we only got a couple of minutes left here. That you, I would say, had a great mind not only for the game, but after your career and everything, you went on to politics. And we don't talk policy, Democrat, Republican, and all that fun stuff. We don't touch it. But you got to be a pretty smart, bold to get into Congress. But I heard that your wife was the one who actually talked you into running. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Was she like that in every aspect of your life in a good way?
No, not at all.
Right.
I mean, we have been married since we were 20 years old, and so nobody knows me better than my wife did. And it was just a real passion for her, not so much for me, but I still was very interested in the leadership of our country, and so when she encouraged me to, consider running a race to be in Congress, I thought she was crazy, but I said, I'm willing to do this and take a chance and see what happens. And so that's exactly what I did. And, I didn't major in political science in college, and I was a biology major, and so it was not something that was ordained for me to do this. But when I did do it, I really put all of my effort into winning the race, and then once I won, knowing the issues and why I believed what I believed, and then advocating for those.
Well, and I didn't know that about you. Did study biology and all, but you have to, like I said, you have to be very bold to hold that position in in most cases, but also be very bold to be a receiver. But how much of a learning curve was that to be able to, okay, now I'm representing my district in Oklahoma. How much of a learning curve is that to be able to figure out what you need to know and just everything like that?
Yeah, well, it's a steep learning curve. Just knowing, how committees are formed and what you do on those committees and the jurisdiction that they have, and formulating policy and how that has to kind of go up through the system, and then go onto the floor and then be voted, and then it has to go into to the Senate. And that has to be voted, and then you come together and you have a conference and put the bill together again, and then it gets voted on again in both bodies, and then if it makes it through that rigorous process over a period of time, it gets to the president, and he can either sign it or veto it. So it was a process that took me a little while to learn and to understand, but it's not science. It's politics, and so you learn it pretty quickly once you're in Washington D.C. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just want to wrap up by asking you two fan questions. They wanted to know about one, besides the offensive line, since you still follow the game, what do you think the Seahawks need to work on for next season? But also, they wanted to know what you thought about being outvoted, about your attractiveness, let's just say.
Well, the person who asked the question is very astute in that you start with the offensive line, and in Seattle, you have to do that. Their offensive line has not been representative of a playoff caliber team for the last 3 years. And every year they tell us that, they've taken care of it with the draft, and they hope their young players develop, and they just haven't. And so Russell ends up scrambling around and trying to make plays with no protection. And then, their receivers are good receivers, and they've actually performed fairly well. They drafted a tight end from New Orleans a couple of years ago, and he seems to have trouble integrating himself into the system, and I don't know why that is, but that has been a sore point for the Seahawks. Their defense has been a playoff caliber defense. They've actually played very well, but this last year they ended up having all kinds of injuries. So this is a team that has gotten older on Pete, and they've replaced a few players or gotten some younger players to come up alongside them. But it's a team that's probably going to see a lot of turnover between this year and next year because of the poor play of the offensive line and injuries that they've had this past season. Okay, but
what about the vote in '96 as far as who was a people or time about your personal appearance? How was that for you? They also asked.
Oh, about Cortez?
Yes. Or no, yourself. About your look. The most sexiest man alive, or one of those votes.
There's all kinds of stuff that's been written about me, but no, I'm in good shape still, and like I said, my health is. I've been very fortunate, and I know that, and so I just keep moving along. But no, I'm in good shape, and I still follow the Seahawks. I'm an avid fan of the NFL, and I just love the games.
Well, do you have a presence on social media or anything like, or on?
Yeah, I don't. I just have. Yeah, I'm too old. I don't have a Facebook page or Instagram or anything like that. But maybe someday I will.
Hey, we got to put the grandkids to work and show you how to do this then.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, Steve, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much.
Our fans mean everything to us. You really want to do everything you can to give them a Super Bowl.
Seattle's going to the Super Bowl.
It's TNT. Saki Rolls, Seahawks back to back. Going hard for my squad. Holding it down for my city. If you with me, scream. In Seattle, in Seattle, in Seattle, in Seattle. Seahawks in that navy blue, white and green. In Seattle, in Seattle, in Seattle, in Seattle. Blue jeans.
With over 30 years of experience and a superb reputation for being a detail-oriented company, Lacey Cleaning has some of the highest work standards in the cleaning business.
That's the fact, Jack!
Whether it's carpet cleaning, tile, grout cleaning, new construction cleanup, rental turnovers, vent and duct cleaning, odor elimination, office and or business cleaning, power washing, residential cleaning, you name it, they do it. Woo! Check them out. To contact them today, LaceyCleaning@gmail.com or call them at 609-709-8536.
That's what I'm talking about.
What's up, Doc?
I'll tell you what's up. Based out of Atlantic City, New Jersey, Geek Time Entertainment runs exclusively along with different events in the area to strategize with their partners who will benefit with increased exposure and patron traffic.
Oh, gnarly!
Geek Time Entertainment will work with your event in increasing the event's traffic via social media, radio, and storefront advertisements.
Holy cow!
Also, they will help increase business for your company and event with different sales incentives.
Duh.
Whether your event will be small or even mid-scale, Geek Time Entertainment is the group to work with.
That's what I'm talking about.
Contact them today at geektimeentertainment@gmail.com or facebook.com/geektimeentertainment.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Excuse me! This is Vicky Guerrero, and you're listening to Crazy Train Radio.